Back to Transformative Tarot, and what a day for this card to be popping out. It seems to be the energy of the day. We just got out of this moon energy. A lot of stuff has happened, but the Hermit card is a calling to come back within. It's more about the listening now, to the inner world and exploring that terrain. The hermit mode is, of course, the recluse kind of energy. But here, this is more about the joy and the kind of otherworldly experience that happens when one is connected to, just self and the higher energies. Nothing else around really has an influence or a say or, any kind of push or pull in this frequency. The hermit finds a shell, and this is really a time to just listen. You know, this is a good time where you listen to your heartbeat. You really cue in on the rhythm and the frequency of your own body. This is when you're talking to the cells in your body. You understand? This is where you're getting the complete diagnostics of what's going on within, at the same time exploring all the endless possibilities that can be. With this clarity, this space that is created in order to give one the opportunity to access without the distractions of the outside world. It's a very straightforward card, but as you can see, especially with the star in the right hand corner, this has a lot to do with the star card, of course, but a lot of the other cards are here as well because this is that discovery. This is where one would come up with their wishes or find out what it is that needs to be healed, or you know what I mean, uh, the possibilities of what can come up in this type of space is pretty limitless. So it's like a review, it's a check-in, and I think that this card is best described as a check-in with oneself at any given time. It doesn't have to be for an extended period of time. The Hermit card could be 15 minutes a day, kind of energy where the focus is really on you and what's going on in your internal world. Because a lot of times we find that that doesn't really match up with what's going on in the outside world, as we have a lot of distractions in the current time that we're living in. Wars, all the stuff that you can find on social media about celebrities and this and that. It can really pull on your energy and have you a bit scattered and fragmented. So the Hermit card is really about pulling all those pieces back together into the center, all the focus and attention away from others, because the attention is the currency, and who better to spend it on than oneself at this time. In the silence, it's about the listening, as I said before. And this listening is when we get the messages from our guides, our higher self, if you will, our angels, our loved ones who have passed on. But it's also a great time of reset to really dive into the magic that we all possess within. And whatever happens here, this is where the enlightenment comes from, or the aha moments come from, where the answers to the questions that we may have about situations or just life in general come from. So the depiction of this card is meant to draw you in because there's a lot happening. There's traces of memory. There's the visualization of whatever it is that your heart desires at this time. There's a focus on the internal imagery of things, of manifestation, and however and whatever you do by any means is all you. This is also a card of kind of like the ayahuasca kind of energy, you know what I'm saying, where you really dive deep and have like a psychedelic kind of experience. So this is for people who partake of the mushrooms or any of those other rituals that are meant to really, um, you know, really pull you under, so to speak, but not in a detrimental way. But this is at the end of the day really meant for a release, because after you come out of this space, you should feel refreshed and ready to go. You know, you should have the clarity of what needs to be done moving forward. Very simple, very straightforward. You know, finding a shell without becoming a shell of oneself. But there is also a joy after these things, you know, the revisiting of oneself, that reflective period, you know. So memories, as you can see down here, there the pyramid to Giza, kind of, you know, that kind of landscape where it's like, you know, like I said, anything can happen here, whether it's you staring at a picture and visiting in a place or actually going to a place. But this is a space that is considered safe. So this card also represents a space that is conducive to these uh, activities, should we say. You know, a safe space, an environment that nurtures the inner being and does not need the validation or the influence or input of the outside world. So very straightforward. I appreciate everybody who's come through, who's listened to the breakdown or purchased the deck, or, you know, just supported. It's been quite a journey, and it seems that now the universe is asking us really to go within. So this is the timely, uh, you know, like showing of the card of the hermit. So this is a card that you should actually embody in silence. You know, it's not meant for anything else but the introspection and being drawn in, you know, drawn in. So whatever that means to you, however your practices are, you know, I hope everybody finds, I trust that everybody will find their answers, their direction, and their purpose if they haven't already. And the hermit is the place to do it. Hey, Brittany, how you doing tonight? This is definitely the vibe, and I'm pretty sure you got the message on the chat line as well, because this has been sitting on the desk the whole day. And you know what I'm finding about the hermit mode is it's kind of, you can carry this with you. It doesn't necessarily mean you isolate yourself from the outside world or anything of that nature, but it's really more about an awareness of self and picking up on the subtle frequencies we have around us. So this is not something where you have to hide away, but you know that can be done as well. But this is really about carrying that space around there with you. So, you know, just like the hermit crab has the shell everywhere it goes, this is the same kind of protective energy. Even if we have to, you know, interact with people or do peopling. It was like that today with when I went out today with a friend of mine. We went to go pick up a petty cab so that I could fix it up and use it, but it wasn't so much what we were going there to get, but it was the small things that happened, you know, and the subtle messages of being in that hermit mode or that shell where it's only the focus of what needs to be done and what's going on in my internal world. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, absolutely. You know, this is that space. This is, like I said before you came on, this is where all the answers come from. This is where we get to really reset ourselves. This is the diagnostics test, so to speak. You know what I mean? Something's out of whack, then it will come to the surface. It's just like, you know, with all the distractions of the day and things like that. It's sometimes our attention gets pulled away from what is most important, which is our overall mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional health and well-being. As we know, that's what really guides us forward, you know, that inner system. So this is like taking the car to the shop energy. You know what I mean? This is Mercury retrograde kind of energy, you know, any of the retrogrades really, where it's that review. And even looking at the name, hermit, you know what I mean? There's something else in that. And I think a little bit of quiet with that word itself has something in it. but to, crystallize this with the energy of the time that we're in, with just all kinds of chaos going on in the world, to be able to have this space, this safe space to come back to, is a blessing at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Yeah, the emit. I was getting mitochondria. That inward, that inner, touching that inner world. The plants and the stars are there. This is where the healing begins. This is where the love begins. Again, kind of energy, with their hearts coming out of the back of her hair. The shedding of skin. Like most creatures in the wild, when they're shedding or changing or evolving, they often go into what we would call hermit mode, to shed that skin. And because it's a vulnerable place, and you don't want to be out in the open with anybody who might take advantage of that as well. Mm-hmm. Lots of blues, lots of yeah, yeah. But it's definitely a communication, but definitely a silent communication. Like even today, the place we went to, I was putting questions out there all week, really, and we showed up at a place, and the number on the place was 144, and even on the door was one. It was 1444. So we get in there, and it's a whole new world. You know what I mean? It's a whole new world in there that I got to, and so much in the creative realm that it was like being a kid again. But even in there, we were talking about feng shui one day, and a friend of mine had brought up. I think we were having that conversation actually in your room where we were talking about the feng shui with the bed. And I look over on this table, and I guess it's a shared warehouse, but there's this table that says free right above it. So they have all these items that you could take, and sure enough, there's a whole bed set, sheets and pillows, hasn't even been really broken. The pack hasn't even been broken. The cardboard is still wrapped in the cardboard. And of all things, it's the LSU Tigers, and those Tigers have been coming up a whole lot lately too. Whether it's on YouTube or just what in general, but the embodiment of that energy seems to be very present. Even in training, Tiger Crane came back up. You know what I mean, symbolizing that strength. I think of the royal tiger, but this is all part of that hermit energy. You know what I mean, of going within and having that. This is really getting rid of small talk. The hermit mode has a lot to do with boundaries. I mean, yeah, free fresh sheets. I just put them bad boys on earlier today, but you know, it was the colors. It was the purple and it was the gold. That's the colors of LSU. And yeah, laying in the bed you created. So it's really, what else can we do? Kind of question comes up when this hermit. What else can I do? After this review, it's like there should be a confidence about the journey that you're on. You know what I mean? Even the intention or the inkling to go in to the hermit mode shows a willingness of growth and you know what I mean, being able to face yourself at the end of the day, because the hermit mode is that place where you really have to sit with yourself, and this is where you really get to see yourself and be honest with yourself. You know what I mean? Even if you're shit you don't share with everybody else, kind of thing, or you know what I mean? It's just really it's a necessary. It's one of the more necessary places that at this time are really necessary, because I mean, if we left it to the influence of the rest of the world, we would all just be going flushing counterclockwise down that toilet. You know what I'm saying? Means deep diving within the self, and that's what it was. This whole warehouse was pretty much a representation. Even the questions that I was asking were coming from a space of filling in those blanks I had already put out there, kind of energy. You know what I mean? Hmm. Deep diving within the self. Yeah. Yeah, but definitely boundaries, that hard shell, that cancer kind of energy to protect that vulnerability of going through these growth spurts and changes at this time. It's not always as traumatic and the sighs and the moans and the groans of doing shadow work. It's not always there, but there is a joy that comes out of coming out of the other side. You know what I mean? And really dealing and confronting yourself. This hermit card. You could tie this very much so in with the white mirror, Etsnab, which is really looking at the pieces of oneself. Yeah, that's one of my famous jokes. You can only tell it in astrology circles, but what do you get when you cross a what was it, a Virgo and a Cancer? You get a hermit crab or something like that. Because that hermit energy is associated with those signs. The hermit with that Virgo energy. But anyway, I digress. You know what I'm saying? I digress. It's not really the day for anything but that kind of uh, peace, Queen Lotus. Welcome on in. But it's really more of a time for just being with yourself. And I like this card because the subtle smile on her face is like there's more joy, and this is a thing that I find more. It's more of that joy of just being with self. I really, there's nothing in the outside world that really kind of fills in that space better than my damn self is what I'm feeling. You know what I mean? The answers are all there. You know what I'm saying? All the solutions are there. The guidance system is there. There's really nothing the outside world can really offer me that I don't have within myself in order to um, create the world. Which and this is about really exploring that inner vision as well. Those dreams and aspirations moving forward. But this is kind of like that peace that you get from really, enjoying and being in the company of just yourself. You know what I mean? Just being with yourself and the uniqueness that we all possess. The quirkiness, the laughing at our own jokes kind of thing, but also a space where you could cry or, even if you have to go on a rant or something, but it's your own safe space that you created for yourself. You know what I mean? Mm. 26 years, my birthday. Ah, look at this. Okay. Uh-huh. Hmm. Yeah, the bubble, that bubble. Everybody's trying to pop with whatever, you know what I mean? Whether directly or indirectly. It's like the world right now can't really stand to see people happier or living their best life for some reason. You know what I mean? Even with and yeah, they are everywhere, and that's the whole thing, with the distractions. But that's the beauty of the hermit mode because it keeps you focused on what's important to you. What really moves you. What are your desires? What you know what I mean? It's like this is where you really get to separate your thoughts from everybody else's projections and whatnot, and clear that shit right up out of there. But I never really noticed it, but there's a whole lot of eights down here too. And the story behind this, I was at Juneteenth when I started this. I was at a festival in Atlanta, and I think it was about a year ago. Somebody actually bought the original at another convention, but this one took maybe 3 or 4 years because I took a break on it. I just tucked it away. It's one of those things you got to kind of come back to it, and it has that kind of energy on it. You always got to come back. There's always that place, that 0 point we have to return to, uh, in order to, you know what I'm saying, really reset ourselves and make sure that everything's in working order. So a lot of things that you could associate with this is feng shui as well. If we're looking at things that we can do. So this is clearing the clutter. You know what I'm saying? This is sweeping out the home. This is stuff that is very personal to us. You know what I mean? Um, our magic. You know, it's great to get affirmations from all these different places online, all that. But you know, the real magic is within. But you'll never know that unless you take that time and give yourself that space to really be with yourself, you know. And you would think that that's an easy thing, but nowadays you can just tell it's not one of the most comfortable things for a lot of people. Is to just sit there by your goddamn self. You know, no validation, nobody telling you you are this or that, or capping you up, or gassing you up, or valid. You know what I'm saying? All these things that we look for as far as the attention. Well, if the attention is the currency and you're pouring it back in yourself, then you can only profit from, you know what I mean, directly from your own energy. You know what I mean? This is where all that recycles. So the Hermit card has an element of the serpent biting its tail. Um, ooh, I must have just pulled back in at the right time. Is that rain again? Hmm. Yeah, the serpent biting its tail. You know what I mean? Where everything kind of comes full circle within. Where that energy is, you are your own renewable source of energy. Hmm. But like I said previous, you know, don't have this be a space where you're just alienated in it. It shouldn't be debilitating. It should be very much helping you move forward while standing still. But you know, like I said today, I took the hermit mode with me. You know what I mean? You know, just being a character. But when you're in character, I'm noticing when you're really authentic, people kind of leave you alone anyway. Because I had my mask on, my helmet that I made, my samurai helmet on, and I tend to not get too many things. Even the compliments kind of, you know, just kind of brush off as like a thank you, and I keep it moving. But it's one of those places where I really feel safe, you know, because it's a space that I created. That helmet was a space that I created. So this could be, like I said, feng shui, but this could be your car. This could be, you know, the basement, the cave, the backyard, the woods, the park. But wherever gives you that feeling of security and being grounded is what this hermit card is all about. Right about now. Yeah, today is a very confirming day. I mean, a lot of things have popped up that show that this cycle is not even close to beginning, or that, you know what I mean, it has a lot of you're not even nowhere near done yet kind of energy. So I'm gonna need you to really sit with this, because moving forward there's gonna be decisions that you're gonna have to make, you know what I mean? And for yourself. Nobody else should be considered in this equation. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, that's easier said than done for a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you have other responsibilities of people in your life, one way or the other. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, really, what about you? You know what I mean? I thought, what if, because you know, people been wild out here. It's like, what if the whole block was just gone? What if everything just reset itself? In a flash that could happen, you know, whether it be a natural disaster, or even, you know, I look at the kids over there in Palestine and things like that. Where do you turn to? You have nobody, or you have yourself, basically. You know what I mean? You have yourself. Hmm. Yeah, we all do. We all do. We all do. Hmm. And the thing I like about this card, it reminds me of the Boundless card. That was what the original name of the Empress card was. And I think that's a really good card to kind of conjoin with this. And look at that, it's right there on the damn top anyway. And it's the realization that we are those magical beings that we were told to look for to come back and save us. This is also linked to the baby Buddha that we've been hearing a lot about, and that was coming up in the readings the past week. You know, that internal place, that nurturing place where, it's been kind of off and on the last month and a half or so, but it's just like more of these flashes of I get this who am I really kind of question, right? And then stuff that used to resonate or used to bother me or all that kind of goes out the window, and it's just like this place where it's like what I'm saying, it's a getting used to, and there's no complaint because it feels a lot more natural and a lot more authentic. But that was in part to really removing myself from a lot of places and situations that weren't mine, you know what I mean? But this Empress card at this time with this Hermit card is really where it's at, really where it's at. And again, there's the pregnancy right there, the birth of new ideas or the birth of a new life kind of energy. So it's interesting how even this deck is teaching me a lot, because it's in the past 2 days, it's been a lot about, not only how we relate to the cards, but how the cards relate to each other. It's like they have their own relationships, you know, their own alchemy between the two. And lately they've been coming out, pretty much in what they ride or dies, you know what I'm saying, with their homies, so to speak. Some of these cards really just complement each other very well as far as a message. So this is really good. And even today, this is the first time Georgia, which is the cat that comes outside, this is the first time her kitten came on the porch today. And I thought that was a really interesting thing because it kind of showed me how this is really our chance to make the impact. And what I mean by that is with Georgia, she's been conditioned already by the world. She's a little bit older, right? So her trust, she's always been a feral cat anyway, but her trust of humans or human contact, being around, she's always jittery, she's always on guard. And to her credit, it's taken a lot for her just to sit with me on the porch, and get comfortable. But with the kitten, this is like the rebirth, you know what I mean? This is like the younger version or her inner child, whatever you want to call it. But, is it a reflection or projection? And this looks more like, it feels more like the reflection part of that that rebirth energy. You know what I mean? That rebirth energy coming through. So having that kitten show up and didn't eat out the dish, but was in the dish eating. You know what I mean? And that's how small the kitten was, but was in the dish eating and rolling with mom this time. And I thought it was such a wonderful occasion because I had a can of food in here I kind of keep for her, just for emergencies or whatever, special occasions. And it was one of those occasions today, like a silent celebration. A lot of this stuff is happening internal anyway. There's no way anybody can see what's going on at this time with a lot of us, one way or the other. It's really kind of hard to tell or gauge. It's really a hidden um, party going on out here in these cosmic streets. You know what I mean? hmm But yeah, the synchronicities, absolutely. The subtle messages, they're everywhere, and we can only really get to that place of hearing those messages or seeing there if we have that bubble. We're inside that bubble. You know what I mean? hmm So yeah, Well, I guess we might well move into the empress a little bit, but that's pretty much self-explanatory as far as the imagery. But this is definitely a feminine archetype, or a very this is like the this is the cultivation of the internal world, mastery of the internal world, whereas the emperor would be the outside or the external world, or mastery of the physical world. This is more of the yin or within. And I think a lot of us have finally reached this kind of space within ourselves where we've, again, the eyes closed in a sort of inward meditation. And we just had the new moon or whatever the moon was. I don't know. It's to the point where you've been through it so many times that you don't really have to know about it, but you can just feel what's going on. You don't even need you know, so much of an explanation, but you already know how to operate and move under certain influences, being familiarized with them after such a time of conditioning and learning and growing. But this one right here has the DNA in her hands. You know what I'm saying? It's all within us anyway. And there's a lot of hidden shit in here. I remember when I did this, I was in Whole Foods on what's the name of that street? I was in Whole Foods in Atlanta. God, and it's like even with the reflection of life, I had to sit there the other day, and I was like, Jesus, you know what I mean? I was just remembering all these different situations. It's amazing how much you can pack, how much experience you can pack in such a short amount of time. You know what I mean? Things that I'd forgotten about it just came back up. It's like, yeah, I can't remember. I can't believe I did that shit. You know, it'd be kind of like that. But also, all the chances that I took on myself to get to where I am now was just kind of mind blowing. But yeah, what a place. Even here, there's still the element of the crane or the stork right here. Mm. And again, the elements of the stars, the healing, the making of the wishes. And there's a whole lot of stuff in her hair. But this today really was the biggest point was a reminder that we don't have to be doing so much that we have been taught. You know what I'm saying? It's a reminder that in this space right here, we allow things to come to us, and this is where that cultivation happens in the hermit mode, where we learn we don't have to be so proactive, that it really is an internal process. And when we're out of our own way, things seem to happen a lot faster. You know what I'm saying? So look, I got about 5% left, and I don't want to lose this one because this was a really good one. Um, with these two archetypes showing up. So I appreciate everybody, and I wish you a beautiful journey within, and I hope it brings you all the answers and clarity you need for the decisions that need to be made at this time for your greatest good moving forward, and that these two cards really sit on your heart or in your heart as tools that you could really utilize, or just simply as reminders. You know what I mean? Just simple reminders of how easy life can be if we allow it to be. You know what I mean? So with that being said, you're welcome. I didn't know anybody else was in the room, Squirrel. You're welcome. But I'm gonna charge up. I might be back on it again tonight because that night owl is. I'm starting to feel that night owl come back out. You know what I'm saying? But I appreciate everybody, and the conversation is always great with y'all, regardless of who shows up. It's always timely. It's like it fits perfectly with what's going on. You know what I'm talking about? So, for Transformative Tarot and all the kindred spirits and the bright souls in the world, I'll check y'all out next time. Peace.